Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to round 6 of our F125 Aston Martin Driver Career Mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Miami Grand Prix. Of course, our second sprint weekend of the year. If you missed out on the video that went live yesterday from... where were we yesterday? That's worrying. I'm only 6 races in Jeddah, of course. I'm so used to the 2024 calendar that I can't remember where we go inside F125. But yeah, if you missed out on the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. We had a pretty good one. We ended up finishing in P8. We've had fastest laps in the last 2 Grand Prix as well. The car is really starting to come alive early on this season. Oscar Piastri became our first repeat winner of the year by claiming quite a dominant victory in the end. That has given him a 24-point buffer at the top of the table ahead of Max Verstappen. Lando Norris still in P3 as Hamilton, myself and Yuki Tsunoda covered by just 2 points at this early stage of the year. Alonso, he's slowly building up a bit of momentum behind as well. He's up to P13 in the World Championship after more points in Jeddah last weekend. We're still tied with Mercedes right now on 60 points apiece, so I think, yeah, we're definitely going to be, hopefully, going to be best of the rest this season, but might be able to challenge Mercedes as well, depending on how Andrea Kimi Antonelli gets on. But of course, yeah, the one sprint weekend we've done so far in this game was absolutely mental back at Shanghai. So I'm hoping that maybe this weekend can be more of the same. Of course, if you're new, please do make sure you get yourself subscribed to the channel. A massive thank you to everybody for the insane support recently. We want to try and hit 10k here as soon as we can. But yeah, without further ado then, let's head back to Miami. Heading straight then into sprint qualifying here from Miami. Of course, if you guys have been keeping up with the My Team career mode, you'll know this race didn't go particularly well for us over in that series. However, I think the Aston Martin car is going to be much better suited to this track, although it is meant to be very soggy come Sunday afternoon, so we'll wait and see as to how that affects things around the venue. But first of all, obviously, we've got to deal with the sprint race here. I want to try and make sure that we score some more points. Of course, actually got lucky in Shanghai with that Carlos Sainz spin that granted us many places, but yeah, I mean, trying to get a lap hooked up here can be notoriously difficult, especially when you're having to run it on the mediums first time round. Of course, as always, this is just going to be a bit of a practice run because we've only got one set of softs. I tell you what, this Aston Martin isn't bad in a straight line, 210 miles an hour by the time we get down the end of the back straight. As we try and rotate the car through the final couple of corners, then where is this first run going to put us? See, everybody else will be on a set of soft compound tyres. We will do a 128.0 and go last. Well, here we go then. We need to find about 0.8 of a second if we want to try and get the better of our teammate Fernando Alonso. Of course, this is one of the only times where I don't expect to see the AI improve right towards the end of qualifying, but I mean, yeah, we made a few mistakes anyway on that first lap, and now on softer, grippier tyres. Hopefully we're going to be able to find a little bit more. Those curbs now through 1 and 2. You've got to be so careful with on the exit, because of course we've seen just how much more the back of the car can be upset through those curbs nowadays. Much tidier line through the S's though. A little bit of curb on the inside through the final part, but don't let the car drift wide. Scrub off a little bit extra speed so you can stamp on the throttle on the exit there. And there is our 0.8 of a second. Almost immediately then, as we try and carry the speed down the back straight. Hopefully a little bit more time will come our way through obviously the tight twisty middle section. See, 210 miles an hour before we're on the anchors in towards the hairpin there. Throw the car through and then just try and be really gentle with it through these next couple of corners. This chicane, absolutely lethal. And of course especially, with the wall. Oh no, slap the wall, talking of. That's going to give us a tiny bit of front wing damage. Hopefully that's not going to cost us too much. Purple through the middle sector though, half a second up on George Russell, who is currently only down in P16. Mercedes have had an absolute stinker in sprint race qualifying by the looks of it. And obviously that'll help us out in the Constructors' Championship. A little bit early on the brakes in towards the final corner, but get the hook up off of the final turn. We're going to find about another second here. That's going to put us P8. Well, I've never seen it kind of take the autopilot and not go to this screen before, but I'm not going to complain about that. Well, clearly Esteban Ocon has been reminded that it is a sprint weekend and is absolutely flying along in his Haas car. P3, quicker than Oscar Piastri, obviously World Championship leader in a McLaren, is an absolutely insane lap time by the Frenchman. Carlos Sainz as well up in 7th, Nico Hülkenberg and Isaac Hadjar as well, both inside the top 10. But yeah, Mercedes had a stinker, Charles Leclerc had a bit of a stinker, even Fernando Alonso, I'm sure, is a bit disappointed. Well, there we are then, Kimi Antonelli, of course, fastest IRL in the Miami Sprint, slowest inside F125. If that doesn't tell you how badly his AI needs to be buffed, I don't know what will. But 10 laps ahead of us then, 15 minutes worth of sprint racing action here from Miami. We're going to start on the mediums. We should hopefully stay on the mediums, all things being equal, but we'll wait and see as to how we get on then, as we wait on the grid for those 5 red lights. Oh, mighty long hold there, but it is going to be lights out and away we go. Carlos Sainz struggling, Yuki Tsunoda struggling, so we're going to try and find an avenue to the outside. Whoa, in towards someone there, a little bit of front locking as we try and get some temperature in the tyre, but up 3 places off the start as Verstappen gets the elbows out up against Esteban Ocon there. Oscar Piastri, oh, I thought about it. I thought about trying to look to the inside, down the hill, or down the short chute, I should say, in towards the S-bends, but yeah, I'm sure we're going to see... Well, Lando Norris has already checked out then at the start of this sprint, and I'm sure we're going to see Verstappen get away from Esteban as well there. He might be our key to trying to build up a little bit of a safety buffer from some of the other cars, as immediately the AI straight line speed is just insurmountable here. Lewis Hamilton back around the outside as we make our way down in towards the hairpin. Oh, Esteban locking up there, I believe, as we will try and get back around the outside of Hamilton. He's still not giving up on it, though. Really tried to stay committed. So we'll give him the room on the inside there. But yeah, Lando Norris, of course, won this race. His first ever race back in 2024. Are we going to see him win the sprint race this weekend? Only time will tell. But yeah, already, I mean, Esteban Ocon, look at him go. How is that Haas car so quick at the moment? I can ask the same with the Ferrari. As Hamilton going right around my outside. Down the back straight. Again, can we just stay with him on the brakes? Yes, we can. As Ocon, is he going to potentially take P2 off Verstappen? That'll be insanity if he's able to do that there. I don't think he's quite pulled it off. But they're still going to be wheel-to-wheel backing towards turn 1. And again, is Verstappen going to have to get the elbows out? Yes, he does. Here we go. Oscar Piastri trying to find a way around Esteban Ocon then down the back straight. I think he'll have the DRS. They're trying to help himself there, but I think actually Esteban was able to keep it. So we've got yellows out for a car behind, I believe. I think that's a Mercedes. And their terrible start to the weekend just goes from bad to worse there. I believe that might have been Kimi Antonelli, who is going to be out of our sprint race. Let's just get official confirmation from the FIA in just a moment. There we go. Oscar Piastri will find a way past Ocon as well. But yep, there we go. Kimi Antonelli, our first retirement of the afternoon. I can't help but feel that Esteban maybe has used far too much of his resources far too early here. Can we try and have a look to the inside in towards the hairpin? Nice and tidy on the brakes. And we are up then into 4th. Oh no. Oh, damn it. I thought we were going to have yellow flags, so I thought we'd be safe from Ocon and Hamilton. 3 wide as we get down to the end of the back straight there, but luckily neither of them able to hook it up. I think Hamilton's picked up front wing damage there. I think I saw an end plate missing on the Ferrari car, so I'm not too sure what's happened to him. But my hopeful goal is that we hang on to the coattails of Esteban here and try and get those two out of the DRS range. I would quite happily take a cruise to P4 in this GP. We've got yellows again. We've got yellows again. I think there's been a little bit of an incident towards the back of the field. No idea what's gone on then. Looks like a V-carb has gone round in this race, so disappointing. I would assume that's Isaac Hadjar, who's gone for a bit of a quick spin. But yeah, 2 laps to go with this race. Exactly what I said has happened. We've just been losing time to the McLarens and Max Verstappen. We've been keeping the gap fairly stable to Carlos Sainz and Esteban Ocon, but they're now starting to work together to try and get to me before the end of the race. Oh, we've got more yellows. What's gone on now? Is one of the McLarens gone or a Max Verstappen gone? Let's have a look then as we make our way out to the back straight. I think it is Oscar Piastri. Piastri's broken down. A huge mechanical failure there for Oscar Piastri, and suddenly, after what has been a fairly cool, calm and collected sprint race, we're up into the podium places. Imagine now if Verstappen and Norris came together before the end. Well, as Oscar Piastri's stricken McLaren left stranded down the back straight, we can be pretty happy with the way our sprint race has gone today. I think a lot of teams are going to be pretty happy because if I'm not mistaken, There's a Sauber car of Nico Hülkenberg in the points right now. Esteban Ocon has finally got back into DRS range of me, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to do anything with it before the end of the afternoon, as Carlos Sainz again going for a big dive bomb on the Frenchman. Those two have not been particularly friendly so far in this sprint race then, but as long as we get them back out of the DRS range through the chicane, hopefully we're going to be pretty safe and home and dry for a P3 finish here. And what a, wow. I mean, we got a good start. We made up a few places at turn 1. Lewis Hamilton picked up front wing damage, and we kind of never really looked back in this one today. But down in towards the final couple of corners then, it is going to be Lando Norris that will claim victory here on Sprint Race Saturday. Only a couple of tenths clear, though, of Max Verstappen by the end. The Dutchman pushed him right towards the checkered flag. Through the final corner, though, it is going to be our second P3 of the year.
Yes, mate, I'll take that. Well done. We're really happy with the podium down here, so well done. Yes!
Well, there we are then. Lando Norris, by just 0.3 of a second, will claim victory here on Sprint Race Saturday, ahead of Max Verstappen. 6 points on the board for us. I'm very, very happy with, to be honest with you guys. Carlos Sainz in 4th, ahead of Ocon, Leclerc, Hülkenberg there. I think that is Sauber's first points of the year, with Yuki Tsunoda rounding out your top 8. George Russell did a very good recovery drive to get 9th, just ahead of Lewis Hamilton, and, well, Fernando Alonso just ended up exactly where he started. Just kind of avoid chaos and confusion around him there. Oscar Piastri, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, your 2 that failed to see the checkered flag. What does that do to our standings, though? Well, it means, yeah, Oscar Piastri's gap at the top down to just 17 points there. We are back ahead of Lewis Hamilton, though, and into P4. I would be very happy if we could hang on to that by the end of the season. Constructors-wise, though, yep, there you go. Sauber's first points of the year, bring them back in line with VCarb as well, so I'm sure they will be very, very happy with that one. We take a few points out of Ferrari, but without further ado then, let's head into real qualifying.
Welcome back to Miami and welcome to qualifying. Only raw speed will separate these drivers today, but the question is, who's got what it takes to get pole?
This has got to be one of the wettest Formula 1 seasons on record so far this campaign. Another wet qualifying session, and it looks like we could see changeable conditions as we head into the GP. So let's just wait and see how we get on then. I'm going to do a similar strategy to what I did back in Australia, of kind of try and do an outlap and then a bit more of a, you know, a bit of a build lap and then a proper run here in qualifying. I think I've given myself, yeah, about 3 laps worth of fuel. But just really want to try and get my eye in, but also got to be careful. I've got to try and keep myself enough spare sets of tyres ready for the race, because you never know what might happen. I'll be honest, on this first lap then, I think we should obviously see quite a big improvement second time round, but we might be ready to make the switch over to intermediates. This circuit isn't actually that wet at the moment. I think the rain is meant to get less and less towards the end of the session, so we might see kind of everybody switch to intermediates for their last-ditch runs here, but first lap time then on the board, so we drift our way out of the final corner. What is the time going to be? A 1:44.2. We do go last, but that's okay. We use next to no battery.
Forecasts suggest the rain's going to be lightening up over the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. We should start finding more grip as we clear the standing water.
Well, there we go then. Official confirmation. I think, yeah, last-ditch run is going to be on the Inters then, as this rain is meant to start getting less and less, but already 9/10 up on this lap at the moment, just by using a bit of battery in a few places and having the tyres up to temperature. You can just see how much more bite we get from the front end, really getting the car working in a good window. Nice and tidy, though, as we chuck it through the chicane. Horrendously understeery in these conditions.
Remaining, and we've been pushed down to P20.
Of course, still last on the timing screens at the moment, but purple through the middle sector. So hopefully we are going to see a big improvement by the time we get round to the start-finish line. Oh, really sent it in, locked the rears ever so slightly. Can hear them just trying to lock up all the way down in towards that final corner. But a 2-second improvement then on the board. That is going to put us 10th, right with Fernando. Oh no, the team have done something really stupid. I hate the fact it reckons the intermediates are over a second a lap faster, and yet the team have forced us back out on a set of full wets. Everybody else has gone inters now, so I think we're probably going to drop to the rear of the field like a stone towards the end of this session. Surely we can't find any more improvement. Just going to have to wait for the circuit to dry up a little bit more. So effectively now we're having to do another outlap before a proper one. Despite the fact, again, I haven't used any battery here, you can see how much track conditions are improving, as we are about 4/10 up on my previous lap time. Gabriele Bortoletto goes to the top of the board though. Andrea Kimi Antonelli now rockets to top spot, and now so does Liam Lawson. So everybody improving right towards the end of this session, but surely there's no way we find 3 more seconds on this lap. There are a couple of drivers that have stuck out on the full wets for whatever reason, and I don't think it's working for them either. There goes Verstappen to the top of the board. So George Russell then goes even quicker, so the circuit is still ramping up. We would have been in the perfect position to try and claim pole position here, but the team are really stupid as Liam Lawson, trying to have a look down the inside. I don't think he's on a lap anymore. We certainly are.
We're seeing some good times set by drivers on intermediates, box for inters, and we've
What?
been pushed down to P20.
I tried to. How stupid is that? I tried to use intermediates. It looks like only Fernando and I got forced out on the full wets by our team, so both of us will be asking questions of Mercedes by the time we get back round. And after Gabriele Bortoletto went fastest, he is now down to P17 in this qualifying session, so just how quickly the tables can turn. Only quicker than Isaac Hadjar and your 2 Aston Martins that have been well and truly screwed over. We will be having a very angry conversation with the team after this session. I'm sure Fernando feels exactly the same way, but can we try and at least improve and go quicker than our teammate? I just don't want to start this race from the very back of the grid. Rotate the car nice and steadily through that final hairpin. Get the power down on the run towards the line. We are going to improve by 1.4 seconds. Will it put us P19? Yes, it will. Well, there we go then. George Russell will end up fastest there ahead of Oscar Piastri. Somehow Esteban Ocon went P3 on a set of full wets. I want to know how on earth he managed that lap time. Charles Leclerc just ahead of Max Verstappen, who for the 2nd time this year has picked up a 5-place grid drop for illegal blocking, so no idea what the Dutchman's done. But yeah, the two Aston Martins, a 2.5 away from anybody else. It's going to take a lot of work to try and get back to the podium.
F1 is back in the United States of America. We're here in the Sunshine State for a race that's fast becoming a fan favourite. It's time for the Miami Grand Prix. A lap of the Miami Grand Prix features 3.36 miles of track around the Hard Rock Stadium, and 19 corners make up the Miami International Autodrome, which will challenge the drivers in a tight wheel-to-wheel race. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. What a qualifying yesterday for George Russell. He'll start today's race from pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Tsunoda, Hamilton, Lando Norris, and Gasly, Verstappen, Lawson, Albon, and Jack Doohan, Ocon, Behrman, Nico Hülkenberg, and Bortoletto, Hadjar, Mr. Monaco, Carlos Sainz, and Fernando Alonso. Piastri and Andrea Kimi Antonelli rounds off the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. And alongside me, a man, well, what more can I say? But he's a legend. Anthony Davidson. Look, we know it's not where you start, it's where you finish. But let's talk about the start now. What's there to help the drivers get away well?
Big pressure at the start of the race, Crofty, for all of them up and down the grid, no matter where you are. But the drivers these days, they practice, practice and practice. They have rigs with them at the circuit where they can sit down with the actual steering wheel from the real car, and they've got lights that they react to. The clutch paddle is tailored around the driver's hands, around their fingers, so they can have optimum position before they start. So there's so much thought and effort that goes into getting these cars off the line.
If we want to achieve a points finish like last race, you're going to need to push for positions early on. Let's go for it. Good luck.
Well, here we are then, back down on the grid, and well, this time around on the intermediate tyres, because apparently there is still light rain around the Miami circuit. Of course, we've seen already on this game that just because it stopped raining does not mean it's time to switch to the to the dry tyres. So we'll wait and see as to how far we have to go. Maybe everybody on the inters is going to kind of form a bit of a dry line later on in the session. But ready then, down on the grid here in Miami, 16th on the grid, thanks to some grid pens. It's going to be lights out, and oh wait, we go there. Oh, I just didn't want to get too much wheel spin off the initial launch, but we'll get a pretty decent hookup in the second phase, down the inside of both those Sauber cars in towards Turn 1. Of course, Hulkenberg picked up their first points of the year yesterday. Will he get more today, though? The Sauber did seem pretty hooked up in the dry conditions, but in the wet, oh, it might struggle a little bit more there as we just get a couple of little kicks of oversteer at the first couple of corners, but immediately up then into P14. Hulkenberg down the inside of Ollie Behrman. I mean, the points are right there, so if we could just tuck down the inside of a couple of cars in towards the hairpin. There we go. Past another one. But I'm sure down the back straight there is going to be where we lose a load of speed. Kick the back end out in front of Ollie Behrman. Just make sure he knows that it is, you know, it is my line off the exit of the corner then. But immediately we're going to be under pressure to try and make on. Whoa, hello. He's just giving me a push up the rear. What on earth was that from Ollie Behrman? I've never seen, well, don't often see bumper cars in Formula 1, but we've hung on to the spot yet again there as Hulkenberg and Doohan now going wheel to wheel. So clearly Nico and I have had the same idea, try to make progress on lap 1, but I mean, this is just like a traffic paradise through the middle sector there. Doohan still trying to have a look around the outside of Hulkenberg. We will fancy our chances following the other green machine through as almost banging wheels with the Alpine off the exit of the corner. Doohan again though, back on the offensive, so is Ollie Behrman. So the rookie's trying to pull off some moves early on here and really putting on a show at the start of the GP. Whoa, down the inside. Oh, that was not front wing damage. We banged the wheels with Ollie Behrman, but we certainly didn't nudge the front wing. But hopefully, again, that's not going to cost us too much. But yellows, we've got yellows. Someone, I think, might have gone for a spin or has had a mechanical failure. I believe that's Pierre Gasly that has pulled over to the inside of the circuit. Yep, that's a mechanical failure. I almost went straight into the back of him then. That would have been rather embarrassing in this Grand Prix. But up then into P12. So Doohan and Hulkenberg now fighting for the final point. Ollie Behrman, though, again trying to get a run on me. Got to get the elbows out early on. But already this circuit really starting to dry up. We could be on the dries within the next few laps, I reckon.
Okay, caution. Okay. Virtual safety car is out. Reduce speed and maintain a positive delta on your dash.
Oh, I'm so tempted to gamble it now. I'm so tempted to try and make a switch to the dries.
Conditions look stable at the moment. No rain currently expected. Inters look like the best tyre for now.
Oh, I just think, you know, we're getting so close to the crossover. I reckon it could be worth trying to go for a bit of a gamble now. Into the pit lane we'll go. This is a big risk early on in the race, but it will allow us to serve our front wing damage. So just don't get done for speeding as we cross over the pit lane entry line. But of course, we need that VSC to stay out a little bit longer so we can try and get some temperature into the tyres. I'm really hesitant as to whether this is a good call or not. The team reckoned it was meant to stay quite damp for quite a while.
Perfect job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one.
I probably should have gone with softs. Probably should have given ourselves a tyre that can find some more grip.
One stop left in this strategy.
Oh, that is slidey on the exit.
Okay, VSC ending. We're going green. Maintain positive delta until the green flags.
There we go. Make sure we don't get done for speeding as VSC now comes to an end. But yeah, immediately it doesn't feel great, but it doesn't feel too bad. Now we're getting the tyres up to temperature. They are finding a little bit of grip. Well, it is just imperative at the moment that we try and stick to the dry line around this venue. We're definitely still losing a bit of time. How is that a warning? That seems a little bit strict, EA. But yeah, we've lost about 3 seconds on that last lap then in the end. But of course, we were still trying to get the tyres up. But as long as we don't lose kind of 10 or 15, I think it's still a net gain for us. But it's just so tricky trying to get these tyres into the window. I mean, look at that front left. It is ice cold still. We're desperately trying to get temperature in the fronts. But that is easier said than done. We are definitely losing less and less lap time every single lap. But the problem is that gap is still going up to Carlos Sainz in front.
That sets us up nicely for the rest of this race.
I mean, we're running a good 6-7 seconds a lap slower still than our front runners. So I think unless we get a safety car or something like that, we're going to be in for a long afternoon here. But I mean, this circuit looks bone dry. How is it still so damp? But if you can stay on the dry line, then it does seem a bit like F124 to simulate it pretty well. And there is a lot more grip, but of course it's so difficult to try and kind of stay on those tram tracks at the moment. We already lost a second, though, to Antonelli on that last lap, so we're definitely getting there. Problem is, how far behind are we going to be when the AI are then on fresh tyres? But it honestly feels like every kind of changeable conditions race inside F125, they've tried to do their best job to replicate, I think it was Istanbul, wasn't it? Back in 2020, where you want to just stay on the intermediates. Apparently forever, the dry tyres has never quite worked. I mean, we're still losing. It is less than a second a lap now to Carlos Sainz in front, but we're still losing time every single lap. And of course, by the time he dives in and does go to dries, we're still going to be way behind him, and he's going to have fresher tyres than me. This has been a weekend of learning and nothing more. Oh, we've got yellows. We've got yellows. That's a roadblock. That's a roadblock. That's a lifeline. Oh, thank God for that.
Let's have you straight to the pit lane, please.
I was praying either a safety car or a red flag or something in this Grand Prix to help us out. And we have been given a lifeline there. I believe it was Charles Leclerc and his Ferrari that has gone for a spin heading out of the back straight. But finally now, the dries are the way to go.
Very carefully about our strategy for the rest of this race.
Well, we can't use, have we got a fresh set of hards? No, they're the old set of hards compound tyres. No idea what that's suddenly done to the strategy. But we want to use a set of mediums and maybe try and get them. I mean, surely they could stretch towards the end of the afternoon. I think that's got to be the goal, hasn't it? But a huge window in this race. It gets us back in the fight. Look, other cars and everything. I think Leclerc's gone, so no idea what happened to him. He must have been disqualified. But it is going to be lights out and away we go then on a bone dry Miami circuit. And that is glorious to see. Everybody that have been down the order has been given a bit of a lifeline. Oscar Piastri, of course, his World Championship hopes there massively helped out by that, as we are going to get the elbows out immediately and try and make some progress. It looks like Oscar is going to try and instantly get himself into the top 10.
Keep taking care of them.
But all of the AI then on the medium, so they are looking to try and go to the end of the afternoon. So we've got to try and use these. They're on the hards, we're on the medium. So we've got to try and use this opening lap to get around people. As well, a bit of deja vu then. Wheel to wheel almost immediately with Ollie Behrman then in this race. We'll try and tuck back into the wheel tracks and get some slipstream off him. But here comes Carlos Sainz and probably Fernando Alonso. Wheel to wheel with the two Spaniards. Oh, late on the brakes though. We'll get down the inside of Behrman. And again, we've obviously got the confidence. We've got the grip. We know the braking points on the dry tyres. The AI don't there as down the inside of Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Try and make sure we give him some room through the chicane. But suddenly as well, the wheel feels way heavier. Just where you've kind of got all of the grip now available to us. And well, what a recovery lap. We're up to P12. Tyre wear is going to be difficult to manage though towards the end, as Antonelli will have a look straight back past me. The AI, should easily make it on a set of hards. We are going to struggle. Antonelli again then, flying past us as we make our way out to the back straight. Oh, I just saw a bit of front wing fly at me. No idea who's lost an end plate then. I think that might have been a Sauber front wing. I did only see it temporarily. So again, back down the inside of Antonelli, steamrolling our way in towards the middle sector. But yeah, I reckon that was Bortoletto's front wing. We'll get confirmation. Got to remember to keep saving battery though in this race. It's 3 wide just up in front. Oscar Piastri taking no prisoners at the moment. It's contact between him and Alex Albon. And there we go. Yep, I think you could just see the end plate. Oh, Bortoletto's car there. Missing as they're all going to slow each other down through the final corner. What on earth is going on? We're up into the points then. Pretty much out of nowhere in this GP. But you can see that left end plate of Bortoletto's car has completely vanished. And my goal now is just to try and follow Oscar Piastri for as long as I can. We are going to have to make a decision quite soon here as to whether we think we can get these mediums to the end of the afternoon. But Nico Hülkenberg this weekend has been absolutely fantastic for the Sauber man. But annoyingly, for his case anyway, he's also on a set of mediums. So not sure he'll be able to stretch him to the end of the Grand Prix. I mean, Oscar Piastri is flying along at the moment. An opportunity, a window that he is not going to try and not take advantage of in this race. But we're just trying to follow the McLaren man along. But that might be quite difficult. There goes Oscar around the outside of the Sauber car then, as, I mean, they're almost going to be 3 wide again down the end of the back straight, so at least that'll bring us a little bit closer to the lot of them. I mean, we're just trying to save up battery as best as we can, but Oscar Piastri steadily moving his way back up through the order. Like I said, I want to try and follow him for as long as I can, but it might be now where he starts just to break away a little bit more. Liam Lawson, of course, obviously V-Carb and Sauber battling for the wooden spoon so far this year, so both teams trying to maximise their points all this weekend. Of course, although Hulkenberg finished 7th in the sprint, the V-Carb P9 that they got earlier on this year will actually count still better if it ended up being a tiebreaker on countback. But of course, both of them running higher than P9 right now, so the points might be critical. Well, I'm sure we're about to see Oscar Piastri fly past Liam Lawson as well then in this Grand Prix, as I mean, it's just the drive off of those 2 big traction zones. We've got nothing against our competitors. Definitely something that still needs fixing inside F1 25, as Liam Lawson will try and put up a fight. Australia versus New Zealand. Australia's going to win out in this scenario. And we try and get a run on Hulkenberg. There, he was very slow. Got a bit of a wobble out over the curbing. We'll make sure we don't put him in the wall. Similar to Antonelli and obviously Bortoletto back at Monaco. I'm sure Nico will not be happy about that one. And immediately is going to go back on the offensive there. No DRS to try and help ourselves. So that was immediately always going to be a bit of a lost cause. But I said Australia had won that battle. Maybe not. Liam Lawson has moved back past Oscar. Well, annoyingly, that battle between myself and Nico Hulkenberg has allowed Liam Lawson to run away in this Grand Prix, but the tyre wear is absolutely brutal at the moment, so I think we're going to have to make a call in a couple of laps and try and go to a set of softs to see it through to the checkered flag. Oh, there we go, Hulkenberg immediately diving in, so clearly feels the same way. But yeah, we're just going to be so vulnerable by the end of the afternoon.
There's a long way to go in this race, though, so keep your head down.
Yep, still a lot more laps before the checkered flag. But yeah, we're going to dive in the end of next one. But I want to try and keep Antonelli and Albon out of the range. Well, we are going to make the call then at the end of lap 22 here. Just don't want to extend this stint too far and not get to enjoy the advantage that the soft compound tyres will provide us. Nice and early on the pit box. Make sure that we don't get done for speeding. As Albon's in as well. So not too sure what's happened to Alex Albon then in this Grand Prix, but maybe we're going to see some of the hard compound runners into the pits by the end. 2.4 second stop, that's not bad, as Bortoletto also in. There goes Hulkenberg, so he's brought out a huge undercut in this race. No idea how he's managed that one on us.
White line on the exit will receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross onto the track.
He's also then on set of mediums to the end of the Grand Prix. We've got a 4-second gap to make up. But Hulkenberg's not the one I'm interested in. I think it's Alonso that is in the final points-paying position. There we go, Hulkenberg in his Sauber, new fastest lap of the day. We don't quite manage to go quicker. But obviously Hulkenberg, yeah, had a huge slipstream and DRS run off of Isaac Hadjar, even Albon as well, setting some fast lap times. So all 3 of us are trying to carve our way back up through the grid. I believe Alonso, he must be about 11 seconds up the road. So it could be very close by the end if we're maintaining 2 seconds a lap aggregate against the AI. Isaac Hadjar is going to be our first victim. I mean, yeah, we are going well over 2 seconds a lap quicker.
Car in front, 1.8 seconds.
What's the gap to Alonso? Where's teammate status? There he is.
Teammate ahead, 11.0 seconds. Okay, they're on old hard tyres. They're in 9th place. And the time last lap, 1 minute 32.0.
Well, I was absolutely bang on then. We're 11 seconds behind Fernando. We're going 2 seconds a lap faster. So that works out beautifully for us. Got to be careful with nudging the walls and everything like that. But can I just get in the DRS range of Hadjar? I think we have just about there. That's just a free little bit of time. I mean, it's through the twisty stuff we gain all the time on Isaac Hadjar at the moment. Of course, we know just how little straight line speed this Aston Martin's got anyway. And on a track like Miami, that is very, very exposed against the AI. But down the inside of Hadjar, we'll try and have a go. That might have been a really badly timed move because we won't get the DRS off doing. And we might just immediately have given him back the DRS. There goes Isaac Hadjar down the inside. Oh, banging wheels there. So we almost get thrown into a wall, but I cannot afford to be behind him by the time we get in through this hairpin braking zone. I've drained all of the available battery back to the inside, and that gives you an idea of the amount of extra grip we have. We might have to do it again then. We are just catching AI at really awkward times around this circuit at the moment. So got to try and find a way around Jack doing there. Can we have a look to the inside? Oh, I wanted to try and make sure I kept the DRS. I think we will just about manage it there. Probably just costing myself more time than it's worth though. But we will have the DRS off of Jack doing then, and maybe, I believe the first time today, we can actually make an overtake down this back straight. Doohan's going to try and go defensive. It's probably pretty worthless. Around the outside we'll go. 1 lap to go then in what has been a very, very tough Miami Grand Prix. But again, you know, we are still learning a lot inside this series, and I feel like we've learned a lot today. Yeah, we've still got an 11-second gap to Fernando. The mediums will, I think, definitely have been the better tyre to go with right towards the end of this race. Just now trying to bring it home there, but we're going to be under pressure from Alex Albon, who's flying along in that Williams. I mean, today, I think the Williams car's been a better race car than the Aston Martin. And I think even if everything had gone pretty well for us, it would have been a hard push to try and stay inside that top 10. Alonso hasn't managed it, or I think he's in 9th, actually. So at least it still should be another points finish on the board for the team. And that's really, really important early on this year. But absolutely whizzing past us then, Alex Albon. And I mean, now we're not even gaining any time on Ollie Behrman. Oh, towards the end of this race, I think these soft tyres... Oh, they've completely gone on me. I've done an Alonso. He binned it down at the hairpin. I've now gone and done the same thing. And this Aston Martin car, when it loses grip, it can just absolutely go around on you. But Lando Norris is going to take the victory here today in Miami. So backing up his win from 2024 there. And I believe with that result, might just... I don't think he has put himself in the World Championship lead. But it is going to be very, very close between our top 3 in the table at the moment then. Disappointing day for Gabriel Bortoleto, as he's going to be way down the order in P18. Just obviously Gasly and Leclerc, as, I mean, Bortoleto might get 17th here if this car is going to continue like that. That's a penalty. Apparently, I gained 3 seconds worth of time there. At the very last corner of the Grand Prix, it is P17.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
And here he comes. It's all go, go, go for Lando Norris as he takes the checkered flag and wins.
They had to be decisive with their overtaking today as they worked their way through the field. And those kind of race victories are so enjoyable because it's not just like winning from the front. They really had to work for it today.
It's what every driver imagines when they start out on their long road towards Formula One. And for our lucky 3 today, here's the podium waiting for them. He holds the trophy aloft, and why shouldn't he? A richly deserved win today for Lando Norris.
Well, there we go. A perfect score for Lando Norris this weekend. The full 33 points there for our fellow Brit. Max Verstappen will come home in P3. Hamilton, very good drive there in P2, making sure Ferrari still pick up some good points. Russell in 4th means 4 different drivers from 4 different teams making up your top 4. Piastri, Tsunoda, Antonelli, Lawson with Alonso, and then Hulkenberg getting another point for Sauber as well. A fantastic drive from the German there. I think Antonelli deserves driver of the day, to be honest. Did very, very well from the back of the field to score some decent points, but annoying that the pace of the car completely fell apart right at the very end. Leclerc did get classified as a DNF, but was he done? Yeah, he was disqualified for driving the wrong way. So very, very impressive there from him. But let's take a look at our championship standings. What does that do overall? It means Oscar now has a 10-point lead over Lando Norris, but Verstappen as well, only 12 points back. So the top three are really getting close together now. Hamilton and Tsunoda will both jump myself in the championship, and George Russell is not a million miles away either. Kimi Antonelli gets the better of Charles Leclerc, and still Ocon's win keeping him inside the top 10 overall. Alonso still in P13, just 2 points back though from Pierre Gasly, as it is just now Doohan, Hadjar and Bortoletto, three of our rookies that are yet to score. Constructors-wise, McLaren on a nice even 200 ahead of Red Bull and Ferrari. Mercedes now a 10-point buffer ahead of Aston Martin. Haas still in 6th ahead of Williams and Alpine. And yeah, VCARB there and Sauber with more points on the board. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix.